Siti, thank you ever so much. Fantastic sharing. We already have a lot of questions that have come in. So without further ado, I will check out some of these questions. I agree with well, everything you've talked about. You know, two key things I think coming out of that is this idea of fear, of questioning things, and also of people wanting to control people, isn't it? It's like, I think a lot of parents, for example, and that's, I believe, where it starts, you know, from when children are growing up, is that if we nurture our kids, our children, so that they question us, that we're going to find it more difficult to manage them, or as you put it, control them. And I think we need to think less about that control, as you said, than, you know, and thus getting empowered and children that are able to be critical, because being questioning doesn't mean that you're being rude. And I think a lot of people associate that if you question something, you're being rude. And I think that's a wrong assumption. But anyway, let's go to some of the questions. And right, let's start with, right, one of the questions while I'm waiting for them to come up, and I'll let you know who it was once the chat is appearing in my window, was if you were Minister of Education, what are some of the immediate changes that you might make in the Malaysian education system?
A lot. I will actually increase the hours for those essential core subjects rather than, you know, infiltrating the minds of our youngs with religious dogmas and all that. They can do that after school hours. You know, they can do that at home, but not at school. I have always been an advocate for the separation of religion and state. So we cannot actually have this in our schools, because I do believe personally, in fact, shared by many people, that the reason why we are here now in our political scenario is because you know, many people have been brainwashed, indoctrinated whilst at school, as well as you know, at home. So you know, the government machineries have been used to manipulate the minds of the youngs. This is what I believe. So I always say that you know, if I am the Minister of Education, I will overhaul the whole system. I will make sure that the teaching sort of school, the teachers will be fully qualified and will not impose their own values on the children. There are many things. Well, basically, the gist of it is that I will take out, you know, religious, you know, so much religious, you know, studies in our school syllabus. That is what I will do first. Not because, you know, I want to people to not believe in religion, but, you know, religion must be kept separate, must be personal. It is not to be used by the government to control the minds of the public. This is what I think.
Message from J.Y. Lau. Can you elaborate a little bit further on how you cope or deal with situations that you're faced? For example, you mentioned online, often you've been trolled or one could say even abused online. How do you deal with that within yourself?
You see, I believe in freedom of expression. That is one of the core things that we should have, you know, in our lives, in our country. So people can disagree, or they can actually troll me. They can say things whatever about my appearance and all that. You know, I don't really mind, because it's their you know, freedom. to express themselves, as I keep saying. Even in my MAJU, in the organization that I have, the Malaysian Action for Justice and Unity Facebook, the admin actually asked me, should they delete the negative comments about me? And I say, no, leave it. We are standing up for freedom, in many ways. So we cannot tell people what to write, or what, if you are not happy, then we kick them out. I say, no, just leave them. It's okay, no problem. But where I draw the line is if they threaten me physically, if they threaten me in their comments, then I will take action. As what I have done before. There's one, this Ayanda or something. And I must thank the public who are concerned of my safety, highlighting this to me, this kind of abuse that, going on the cyberspace. Because I don't have the time, despite what people think, that I have a team of people looking out for things, negative things about me. I don't have, it's just me alone. So I don't have the time to see all the negative comments and all the stuff that's been written about me. So, because I don't care, they can write whatever, but when they're planning to harm myself, then I take action. So I reported them, I lodged police report, and they were arrested. So these are the things that I will, if you bother too much what people think of you, you will not be able to move, because you are so afraid of people's judgment towards you. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I accept that, and I have no problem with that. But the moment you cross the line in threatening, that's where I will, I will take action. So I don't bother about online negative comments about you. It's because it doesn't affect your life. Why would we be bothered about it? They can say whatever they like. They can say about you, how you look like. But as long as you're confident about yourself, you don't need to feel any lesser than you are. So be yourself. I always say that. I advise people when they ask me. I think this is a quote by, is it Marilyn Monroe? I was told, but anyway, it's a good quote. Be a first-class version of yourself rather than a second-class version of somebody else. So it's basically, you have to be yourself. You cannot be somebody else. You cannot emulate, how that person, because you can never be. I wish I am like the model, the supermodel, looking so beautiful, can wear any kind of dress and things like that. But I cannot be them. So I have to be myself. So, the one thing I learned is that you have to have confidence about your own self. Once you have that, then you are not bothered about everything else. Okay? So that's how I handle the situation.
We've got a couple of questions by, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, by Parameshwaran. His first question is about healthcare, and what's your opinion of people that argue that healthcare is a privilege rather than a right?
Healthcare is a privilege. Is it a privilege for the rich? Privilege for whom? It is a right to every human being in this world to be taken care of, the healthcare system. This is the thing about our country. For example, people have this misinformation that, like the refugees, for example, they are being paid. Not they are being paid. They get free treatment when they go to our local hospitals. It's not true. They have to pay. If they don't have the money to pay, actually the UNCHR, will pay for them. This is what a lot of people misinformation. But what I say is that healthcare is something that I think should be given to any human being. It's not just because you are Malaysian, then only Malaysians should get treatment. But, where is your humanity? Where is your empathy towards another human being? Put ourselves in their shoes. Imagine if we become one day a refugee in another country, and then you get the same kind of treatment in this, like what they have here, and you will then understand that, this is not right. I am ill. I should be treated. I should get help. So it's always like try and put yourself in the other person's shoes. So healthcare is a right to any human being. This is what I say. I don't think we actually, it's not a privilege to anyone. Healthcare, these are basic necessities. It must be available to every human being.
Like water, like housing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, another question from Parameshwaran. He says that as a lawyer whose values and morals may be shaped and influenced by Islam, what are your thoughts on this? What's your take on it?
Well, I've never, lived my life according to sort of religious principles. Doesn't matter what religion it is. I've always lived my life according to my instinct of what is right and what is wrong. Okay? Because whatever it is, it shouldn't be your personal belief or my personal belief should not be imposed on anyone else. And basically, this is what I say when we actually shouldn't have this mixture of religion and state. We must have a separation of religion and state, because then only we can actually live a proper life, without any burden and baggage of your religious belief. Any kind of belief shouldn't be involved in your decision making in your life. For example, some people may disagree with LGBTIQ, for example, yeah? But that doesn't take you away from actually helping a person who may be gay, because that person needs help. For example, in this country, there's so much against the LGBTIQ community. But what have they done to you? Actually, they are also citizens of this country. They also contribute to the society. They have not actually asked what have been portrayed, like asking for same-sex marriage law and all that. That's rubbish. These are all being made up by certain quarters to make them hate this community. What they want is that just leave them alone. Let them live their life. They are not disturbing anyone. So what is so wrong about that? So it doesn't mean that when I support for the LGBTIQ community to live their own life, it doesn't mean that I have to agree with their lifestyle. It is about their right to live, and this is where the difference people cannot see. The moment it is against their faith, they will actually condemn those people just because this is what their faith demands them. But I don't think their faith actually, even their faith in Islam also said that you cannot persecute anyone, for no reason. So this is the problem, as I said, that once you bring in religion and religious belief into your daily lives, it becomes difficult. It becomes, you become influenced with things which is not, supposed to be brought into the subject matter.
We've got a couple of questions from Peter Kalang. I will try and sort of join them up together because they're quite similar. He's talking about the Malaysian education system being one of the causes of people not questioning things, and that this might be one of the things that lends to creating a submissive culture society in Malaysia.
Yeah.
What is your take on this, and how do you think we as people, as a society, can change or deal with it?
I think it's the education. it's always we come down to education. The education is so important, so that the children, I don't know, we can change, maybe not in 10 years, but if we can change the education system to actually make the children more inquisitive, make the children more have an inquiring mind, teach them to have an inquiring mind. We must have a higher thinking society. This is what we must aim for. A society that questions everything on what the government, expose us to. And we must actually teach the society to be more, bold, to question them, to question anything that's being given to them, not to be afraid. Like, for example, I saw a question just now, not quite all of it, but something to do with Orang Asli. How do I empower them? I actually go in and tell them that they have rights. Okay, they do not need to be afraid of the authorities. For example, all this while, a lot of Orang Asli, think that Jakwa is like, the Jabatan Kemajuan Orang Asli. It is their like father, they call Jakwa like father, a father figure, because all this while Jakwa has been looking after them, like feed them bits and pieces, so that the Orang Asli feel obligated, feel like, oh, if we are not nice to Jakwa, they won't get any help. So this is how they keep the Orang Asli meek and follow. That was before, of course. Right now, I think Jakwa, is different, because it's headed by someone who is very responsible, someone that I trust, that have the heart, for a real heart for the Orang Asli. So what I do is that I always tell them they have rights. They don't have to be afraid of anyone. Don't be afraid to question Jakwa. Don't be afraid to question the police. Don't be afraid to question anyone, that comes into your village and tell you this and that. You don't have to believe 100% of what they say. You can ask others. So slowly, I can see that from empowering them to show that they can do it, they have the power to do it. If not because of them, there is no Jakwa. I said, you are the boss, I said. Because Jakwa is supposed to be looking after you as Orang Asli. If there is no Orang Asli, there is no Jakwa. So who is the boss here? You are the boss. So you must act as the boss. You can tell Jakwa, you don't want this, you don't want that, you don't, you don't need this, and you ask Jakwa what you need. So I can see the difference. The Orang Asli become more empowered. They dare to do things, because they know they have the rights. So it's the same with all of us, So as long that you do have rights, that you have rights, you can actually take action for it. Yeah.